Welcome back to Prepping with Sarge, and give people a couple minutes here to see if they want to get into the chat. This was not an announced one. I did not let anybody know that I was going to be live today. I didn't know if I was going to be going live today, but took a little lunchtime walk and decided that I'd try to get a little chat going. I got a couple things. Actually, this is going to substitute for tomorrow night's live stream. So if you regularly watch my Friday night prepper pre-party live stream, this will substitute for that. And I will probably release a short at that time anyways, because I know some people tune in for that. So there'll at least be something new coming out. But hey, wonderful time. Good to see you. So just to kind of get a little conversation going here, I want to know what y'all think this thing is. All right. Do you think it's like an alien pod? I will tell you, this is real, and it's a plant, and it's really funky looking. I mean, I almost feel like there's something's going to jump out of there, right? So if you're tuning in, let me know what you think this thing is. And it's kind of weird to look at, right? Like, it's hard to look at. It's kind of creepy. But I'm curious if anybody has any idea. Let's get some guesses going. While I'm showing you this, I want to hear, and I will tell you what it is when we get a little further along. It's real and it's a plant. I'll tell you that. While we're taking a look at this, I wanted to get a couple of little things going in discussion. So this was going to be the topic for tomorrow night on the live stream. But number one, as preppers, I hope everybody's paying attention to the situation with Russia. And hey, Mac, it's good to see you, with Russia and Ukraine. And I'm curious what everybody in chat thinks about that. I brought it up with some friends not too long ago, and most of the people that I talked to were like, yeah, it's just posturing, nothing's going to come of it. Well, the longer this goes on, the more money is being spent. Hey, Van City, it's good to see you. The more money is being spent to amass those forces now, right? And it's like 150,000 Russian troops are on the border with Ukraine right now. So that's a lot of money that's being spent just to stage all those forward operating bases. The longer it goes on, the more likely it looks like that could end up being some kind of conflict. And that's not going to be good, especially if the United States gets drawn into that. It's not going to be good. Now, what's the most likely scenario? Again, I don't know, but I'm going to give you my guess, is that we get kind of back to either a Cold War or a proxy war, which those of us who grew up in the 80s, or before then, we know what the Cold War was like. It was just always kind of that threat, that stress that something could happen imminently. Fortunately, there was some proxy conflicts with all of that, but nothing that ended up being with a lot of U.S. bloodshed. False flag, interesting. I think you could see cyber attacks if the United States, and I've said to you guys before that I think that's the new generation of warfare, is cyber warfare. So I think you should prepare yourself for the possibility of power outages, gas line disruptions, things like that, if we get drawn into a conflict. Hey, Billy, it's good to see you. So if you're tuning in right now, what do you all think this is? That this is a real plant that I'm showing you right now. And I'll switch camera angles in a minute here. I just want to give people a couple minutes to get in. So that's thing one. And as a prepper, I think you should be really kind of amping up your, in fact, I'm going to pull out the camera now. I'll show you the rest of this plant. So that is the top pod of a sago palm. It's weird looking, isn't it? I mean, it looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. It's creepy. All right, hang on. I'm going to switch cameras on you. I hope everybody's doing all right. You don't usually get to see me in my winter gear because we honestly don't get too much winter here where I am in South Carolina. Hey, Heroic Prepper, it's good to see you. So we get a couple of weeks of cold winter in South Carolina, and we're in that right now. So it'll probably be like our winter is, it's usually sometime late January to Sorry, just reading the chat. Thank you for all the comments, by the way. We get like late January till mid or sometimes late February is our winter, and that's snow's pretty rare here on the coast. It's pretty rare. We did get some icy rain the other day, and that can cause some traffic disruptions and things like that. They generally want you to not be on the road. If we get snow here in Charleston, it's bad. And I grew up in Massachusetts, so it's funny because people will say, well, you only got a half inch of snow or whatever. Well, a half inch of snow down here in my area is going to cripple us because we don't have like the trucks and the equipment to take care of it. So it's a big deal, and it can really shut, like they'll close offices and things like that. So anyways, that's why, hey Wayne, it's good to see you. That's why I'm bundled up today, and this is about the only time of year you'll see me wearing my winter clothes. So as a prepper, let's go back to the Russia thing. As a prepper, what can I be doing about this? Well, number one, I am a little bit worried about friends and family who are active military. I really don't want to see them get sent over there. It's going to be a nasty, nasty situation. But as a prepper, for me in my household, I am not military. Sarge is just a nickname. I've talked about that before. What can I do? Well, I need to make sure that we're kind of doing all the things that I normally would do as a prepper, like amping up our food storage in case of supply chain disruptions. I don't store a ton of gasoline myself because I live in the city, so it's not really a safe thing for me to store a ton of it. It's cold there too, Billy. Yeah, I don't know if anybody here is tuning in from California. I'm curious what you all are getting out there right now. So number one, food storage. Number two, fuel, to the extent that you're able to store some fuel, because that could get disrupted, especially if there's cyber attacks. Number three, it would be, what are you going to do for power outages? You have to, hopefully you've already put some plans in place, but if you haven't, I would say now is really the time to start thinking about that. Maybe you've got some lighting that can run off your USB battery banks. Maybe you've got a generator, maybe you don't. How are you going to heat your house if you're in a state that's going to be potentially problematic? Here in the South, in August, if we lost power down here, we would have people dropping dead. It's that bad, the humidity and the heat down here. So that's an issue down here. I have some USB fans, things like that. My neighbor has a pool, said we could use that anytime we want. But even the water temperature here in the summertime will get like up into the mid 80s, and so you're not really even getting cooled off. So there are some ways, that we know we could. But keep in mind too that if cyber attacks or something like that leads to a power disruption, if you're going to store a lot of fuel for a long period of time, definitely invest in a little bit extra just to get that stabilizer. I know they sell it at Wally Mart, and you can get some other stuff online. When I did have my farm, I stored about 12 months of fuel, and I just rotated. So when I got to month 12, I used month 12. I never had a problem with the gasoline going bad. I was using it in my vehicles, never had a problem. So you're good for, like, in my opinion, 12 months. After that, you probably need to be making sure you're using stable in there, the stabilizer. Stable's one of the stabilizers. So heating, cooling, lighting, food. So for your food, keep in mind if there's some kind of attack, cyber attack that takes out power grid, you're gonna, if you don't have a way to like run a generator or something like that, your stuff in your fridge and your freezer is gonna go bad. So you're gonna use that up as soon as possible, of course. But this is why it's important to store some shelf-stable foods, stuff that doesn't have to be refrigerated. There's tons and tons of options. If you've been watching my videos in January and December, I reviewed a bunch of those options. Check those out. Your canned goods, those stay good for a really long time. Those are all good options. You want to make sure, again, I hope that nothing comes of this. I hope that we don't end up into some kind of conflict, but these are just some of the scenarios that could play out if U.S. gets drawn into this conflict, if it becomes more than what it already is, right? I hope not. I'm not trying to sell fear porn. I don't usually do that, but this is a situation now we're watching every single day. Yeah, definitely store it in your cars. That's a good idea. And we have, for our vehicles, we always have a half tank of gas minimum in the cars. Yeah, if you're that's a good idea. You're right, Billy. If you're in a cold climate, you can you might be able to store some of that refrigerator and freezer stuff outside. That's not even something that's really we think about here because we don't get cold often enough or long enough for that to really be a feasible solution for us. Right now, I could, but a month from now, probably not. What else? So the vehicle gas, I'm actually probably gonna talk to my wife tonight. We're gonna amp that up while this waiting period goes on to see what happens. We're probably gonna amp it up to keeping the vehicles. Oh, thank you so much, Van City Prepper. I really appreciate that. Great, thank you for the super chat. And you all need to check out Van City Prepper. She does great content both here on YouTube and on Instagram. Really love your content, and thank you so much for the channel friendship. I really appreciate that. So I'm probably going to talk to my wife tonight, and we're going to probably go up to 3, always keeping the vehicles at, thank you so much, always keeping those vehicles at 3/4 full. 3/4 full. That's probably where we're going to be now. So we're in like condition orange instead of like white or yellow, right? So just be paying more attention. I told my wife the other day, I fully expect, I get up before her, I get up at like 5 in the morning. I fully expect that, unfortunately, one of the mornings that I wake up, the news has happened that there is violent conflict going on in that region. It just doesn't look like it's going to de-escalate at this point. I hope it does. I pray that it does, but it doesn't look like it is. So that was going to be the big topic for tomorrow night. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there for now. If any of you in chat want to throw out some other comments, suggestions for prepping for possible wartime conflict and cyber attacks, things like that. JMB Prepper, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, I don't usually talk about this stuff. I usually stick to like recession, hurricanes, things like that. So do I think a conflict could come on U.S. soil? That's going to depend on our actions, how much we get involved. Hopefully not. Again, I think that any attacks on the U.S. would probably be in the form of either a oh, sorry, if you guys lost audio there, I apologize. I had a call coming in. It's gone now. If there was any attacks on the U.S. soil, I really think that would depend on how the U.S. responded. I really do. So if we sent support, like in the form of arms and money and things like that, weapons, then hey, Toilet Bowl Food Reviews, good to see you. Then I think that the retaliation would be either a proxy strike, which means they strike one of our allies that doesn't have the ability to defend themselves as well as we do, or cyber attack. Now, a lot of people in the prepper community get like really hung up on this idea of an EMP, and it comes from that book Going Home, which is a really good book. I've actually read it 3 times now. It's an enjoyable read. But the truth is, they don't need to do an EMP. They really don't. They can take down our grid from a computer without launching a single missile. So we're thinking about it wrong if that's the obsession, is worrying about something like that, like an EMP. So yes, think about it would probably be at our naval. Yeah, that concerns me too, because in Charleston here, we're near one of the bases, actually Air Force Base here. I live very close to an Air Force Base, actually. So, and that Toilet Bowl Food Review, thank you so much for saying that. So one of the thing about, yeah, that's true too, Wayne, you're right. So the thing about a cyber attack and why it's such a great weapon for any country is you have plausible deniability, right? Like, so let's say that country A decides to take down the grid for country B. It's very, very hard to trace, even if the evidence seems to point in that direction. The other country says, well, we didn't do that. Maybe there's a rogue element. We'll try to help you find them, So it gives you that plausible deniability, which tends to make it harder to do a retaliation. So now this is why what do they call it? It's going to be fifth generation warfare. I talked about this in another live stream a long time ago. Fifth generation warfare is going to be through like cyber attacks and stuff like that. Fourth generation warfare is like guerrilla warfare. Thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping in, Prepping Mama. Silver Scorpion, always good to see you, brother. So, hey, if you guys aren't familiar with it, Silver Scorpion's got like one of the most epic giveaways going right now. That community chest. This thing has been going around the country for like a year. People have been adding stuff in. I sent some comic books over. You guys need to be following his channel. I can't wait to see this video. You have any? Hey, brother, do you have any idea when you're doing that? Have you got a timeline on it yet? All right, so that's the situation with Russia and Ukraine as best as I can speak to it. Like I said, I've never done any military. Sarge is just a nickname. So, marker. The rest is yep. Yeah, it's old tech. Full videos this weekend. All right, we're gonna check that out. Yeah, our systems are very, very vulnerable, very, very vulnerable, and we saw that with the cyber attack on the gas line, right? How easily that disrupted us and caused a giant price in gas prices. That's nothing. That's nothing. Imagine if the water supply gets tampered with. Imagine if I don't even want to get into all the possibilities. It'll put us all in panic mode. So obviously you control what's within your control, which is your household, yourself. Outside of that, you may be able to exert some influence on your neighborhood. So you start talking to your neighbors about like, hey, just out of curiosity, I like to think ahead a little bit. What do you think the situation in Russia and Ukraine's gonna escalate to? And just kind of hear them out, and you'll get an idea of how they're thinking about it too. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. If you enjoy my content, please give me a thumbs up. Please feel free to share it whenever you want. I don't usually ask people to do that. But if you want to share my videos, I appreciate that. I really appreciate this audience, actually. We just passed recently 1,600 subscribers, and really, I feel like I know 95% of my audience because I grew at a fairly moderate pace, so it allowed me to get to know people as they were subscribing. There's probably some who never comment, and so I just don't know who you are. But for those of you who are active and comment and participate in the live streams and whatnot, I feel like I know everybody. At least I know your channel well. That to the extent that we could know somebody online. So last little bit here. I'm gonna switch gears on us. So hey Stamos, how you doing? Financial world, financial prep, right? So this is going to tie in a little bit to the Ukraine situation. There was a pretty big sell-off across most sectors in the stock market. I bought in on the dip a little bit more to the extent that I'm financially able to do so. Money's a little bit tight for us right now. We're doing okay, but money's a little bit tight. Just like everybody else, inflation's taking its toll, right? So I bought in a little bit on the dip to the extent that I could. I don't know that I'm going to keep doing that right now. I'm probably going to stack a little bit of extra savings and cash for the same reasons. Just concern about what's happening in the Ukraine. And you want to have some emergency cash. Of course, we always do, but I think I'm going to add a little bit more to that. Not financial advice. You do what makes sense for your household, but just giving you my thoughts. Silver and gold has dipped down really to a nice buy-in point if you've been holding off. Just watch the premiums on that. Like gold was at, I think earlier today, gold was at 1,817 or so per ounce. Watch your premiums, because a lot of times when there's a dip, the dealers don't necessarily drop their price right away. They kind of want to see, because they lose money if they drop too low. They have to make back their money, so they will sometimes wait a few days to see if that dip sustains itself. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chromedome. The silver is at a good buy price right now for spot, but again, watch your premiums, right? So not financial advice is me personally, I feel like 25% over spot is about the max that I'm willing to pay on premiums right now. And if you think about every other sector of industry, right? Like my wife is a baker, so her markup is less than 25%, to be honest with you, right? So I have my own consulting business. My markup for what I value my time at is less than 25%, right? So you take silver and gold, right, where the business is basically trading metal money, okay, for lack of a better way to put it. These dealers buy in at a price that's changing more quickly than my prices are changing for my business, and they can get burned. So if they bought in a bunch of weight at, say, when it was at $26 an ounce for silver, and then all of a sudden it starts dropping down to 22, that's concerning for them, obviously. And I agree, premiums are too high right now. So I no offense, because some of my friends are metals dealers. Some of them you guys know, they have channels, but I got to look out for my money. And so I'm not buying at that high premium. I'm going to wait you out. And I do think that silver is going to drop some more. This is just me speculating. I don't have crystal ball. I feel better about where gold is going this year, but silver's so manipulated that we all know it probably should be worth a lot more than it is right now. But I feel like they're gonna continue to manipulate it, right? That's just my speculation. I've been stacking since 2009, so I've been in the business for 12 years or whatever, 13 years. So it's just based on on that. They don't see the people who control those markets don't seem to like to let it get above $28 an ounce. I've seen that twice in those 13 years, and then it drops down pretty quickly. Hey, Silver Oceans, that doesn't mean I'm anti-silver at all. You guys know I love my silver, and I'll continue to stack some silver. But, who knows? In 20 years, will silver be at $100 an ounce? I don't know. You got YouTubers on here telling you that it's going to be $100 an ounce tomorrow. It's not. You got Wall Street Silver goes on there and tells you if you just go out and buy, if everybody goes out and buys 100 ounces of silver, we can drive the price up. And they can drive the price. They've proven that they can drive the price up for a day, not sustainably. And that's, market manipulation and paper, silver, and things like that start to come into play there. All right, guys, I think I probably need to start to think about getting back into work. So I got to start heading in another direction. I really appreciate y'all. I'll be listening. Yeah, I'm winding down anyway, Silver Scorpion. I appreciate everybody. So once again, just real quick, no Friday night live stream for me tomorrow. The normal Friday night prepper pre-party show, instead I'm going to be releasing a short, but I'm pretty sure Silver Husky's going live with his bin auction. The GD Bacon is usually got his late night stream, and anybody else, so there'll be plenty of stuff to hang out and chat. Yeah, thank you so much. It's good to see you too. Appreciate you, Wayne. Everybody have a good day. I'm going to start heading back. Keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is